sets, and I'll tell you a funny story, and he'll kill me for sharing this. But so, we take our supplements. I sound like a broken record. My teenage daughters hate me at this point. I'm like, you have to take your supplements just to kind of support. This was a lesson to kind of support, not just us as adults, for them as kids, right? So that being said, because he's been having a really hard time sleeping. The melatonin he was taking wasn't making a dent. So there was another supplement that was recommended he took. I think it's called Serenity or something like that. And it's supposed to help. He goes, Faye, I just can't turn my mind off. He just you want to just, whether it's helping me with the kids or work or whatever he's doing, it's just hard to just shut down. We used to go to the gym. You used to be able to do whatever you needed to do at the gym. You're separating yourself from your environment. It's a challenge and you can't. So make a long story short, he ended up taking the melatonin with those other supplements, and he took it like too late into the morning. So by the time it hit like next day where he had to do work and help, his brain couldn't catch up. It shut down at the wrong point in time. So you got to be a little careful with that also, So,
well, I'm glad you brought up supplements, because I think there are supplements people can take for these feelings. I think I personally think CBD is a godsend. I think CBD oil works amazingly well on people. It works, and this is something, I have a medical practice also in LA, and so I've been able to use CBD and THC for like 12 years now, so I have a lot of experience in using it. And the reason I bring that up is because in my LA practice, I was able to take so many people off of anti-anxiety medications, sleeping medications, pain medications, all with CBD and THC. So CBD has been a big godsend for me. And that really has been taking me through, being able to fall asleep, being able to do that. So I think CBD oil is definitely something I would recommend people look into, see if it's right for them, see if they're comfortable with it, that sort of thing. It's got no marijuana in it. I'm not talking, there's no THC in pure CBD oil. So I think that's a really good supplement to take. I love SAM-E, which is nothing but an amino acid, so most people can take it unless they're on an antidepressant. Mm-hmm. That's something you take in the morning. I love 5-HTP, which is tryptophan, which is another amino acid. That's why people get tired after Thanksgiving, because it's the amino acid found in turkey and in milk.
Oh, wow.
So it puts people to sleep. And it calms people down. Theanine, for instance. Theanine is the calming agent in green tea. So that's something that you can pop all day long, like whenever you're feeling anxious, or those anxiety attacks, panic attacks that you were talking about. So many of my patients are coming in complaining, my stomach's bothering me. And then they're like, oh, I think that's just panic. Or I had 2 panic attacks since we've spoken last. I've never had panic attacks. I'm like, well, what do you expect? I mean, we're living in times that, who knows? These are biblical, times,
Before any of this happened, I can't honestly say I knew, to experience a panic attack. And I was very honest with you. I was like, oh my God, I had one. I didn't even know I was having one. I thought it was something virus related or whatever. So I guess something in my subconscious triggered, whether it was exhaustion, whether it was, your mind racing all the time, to prevent, to maintain future. There's so much that's going through our minds that you don't know how to stop it, because we virtually have shut down. We're still living and breathing, thankfully, but everything else has shut down, literally. So trying to process that is a lot. Everyone's complaining about their sleeping habits. I think a lot of people and a lot of things we're going to be another thing we're going to see coming out of this is people are going to have a hard time processing in the future, when we're trying to figure out what the next phase is, right? I hate to say the new normalcy. What's the next phase waiting for us? So there's a lot.
And there's a lot of anxiety with that. What is it going to be, right?
Huge. And my daughter says, I don't know if it's allergies or my sinuses are bothering me, whatever. I'm terrified to take her to emergency room. I'm terrified. I don't know what the options are. So I'm worried about myself. I'm worried about the kids. It's a lot. And then you want to think about what you can do to help yourself sleep better. I was on 2 Zoom calls from 2 different offices from our company. And one of the healthiest agents was like, I'm just not sleeping well. And she's drinking like her electrolyte water, it doesn't matter. You could be the healthiest person in the universe and you're not going to be sleeping well right now. Just like, I mean, I was like shocked when you said, you know what? And I'm here in pigtails today, or like in braids or whatever you want to call it, and kind of really super cash. Doesn't happen with me. So, and kind of, it was weird, like, cause you were kind of feeling kind of how I was feeling, but I needed that check-in with you that it was okay to feel the way I was feeling. So that's key and important. But one more thing, what you said was you gave us options. That doesn't mean you have to run to medication, get antidepressants, get sleeping aids that you become hooked on, addicted to, and that don't help. So
Right.
you just named a few things I didn't even know about. I mean, CBD, I want to do a whole other session just on CBD because
Oh,
there's a lot of
cool. I love
misinformation.
CBD.
No, there's so much misinformation out there, and we need to kind of break through the barriers, break through that, and have a breakthrough, what to take. And I'm sure there's options even from my teenage daughter has so much information, and I'm sure most of it has to do with diet. So I think it's important to talk about that and what you can do and what options. Everyone, including myself, is doing all these fitness challenges. I did one with my daughters and some coworkers were doing. Forget about the fact that I got bored because I'm not interacting really with anyone. So it's hard to follow
Right.
through. But it's also the injury. And then,
Mm.
and the stress and the anxiety that I'm not doing it, I'm failing at it. It brings it right back to what you're saying. So
Yeah, but I would love to do a whole segment on CBD because it's so, there's so much out there and there's so much misinformation out there about it. And people are buying the wrong products and it's expensive and if you buy the right thing, it does work. And it's probably one of the best supplements for this time, for this era of our lives right now, is CBD. But I do think, there's a lot of things people can take, melatonin, you mentioned that your husband takes melatonin, 5-HTP, and I'm not recommending people run out and do these things because they need to run it by their doctor and, make sure that they don't have any other conditions that might preclude them from taking some of the things I'm mentioning. But there are things to take,
are you
and
seeing new patients? Like if people want to reach out and call you and make an
oh yeah,
appointment?
of course, of course. I mean, life has to go on, and it's not just about COVID. I mean, there are other diseases that people still have, and we need to be taking care of things. I mean, that's what I get concerned. Like everybody's putting their routine health care off, and you cannot do that. I mean, you can do it for a few months. You can't do it forever. You know what I mean?
One, I'm sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
One other thing that it was important that I wanted to really ask you about, because another thing I'm hitting a wall with, I don't know if you are, and I see my family is what we're eating, what we're doing. Now the new uh, message that's coming out from all these different media outlets is we're going to have a food chain shortage and people are going to panic and they're going to run out and buy everything under the sun. We're going to run out of meat, chicken. I mean, it's just, I watched the whole segment and they had the Goya CEO saying, we're here. There's plenty of beans and stuff to go around if you guys run out of chicken and meat and all that stuff. So that's another stressor in itself. I mean, corn. We have so much corn product in my household, and I think that's like triggering something with inflammation. I don't know.
Corn's not my favorite product. It's one of America's top 5 cash crops, which is insane. Yeah, our cash crops are corn, which is evil and genetically modified and not good for you. And it's not even a real food. So that's corn. Sugar, none of us need sugar. So that's number 2. Soybeans, we could live without soybeans. I used to know the other 2: sugar, soy,
Wow.
wheat,
Yeah.
wheat. Um, what else?
We,
Anyway,
when you say soy, that includes like edamame that my kids love to go through.
yes. Yeah, but that's, a lot of these things, 96% of the United States is soy that it grows is genetically modified.
Wow.
100% of the corn is genetically modified. So, it's trying times to be shopping for food, number 1. So number 2, you have to kind of just pay attention to what you shop for and don't just say, especially when, the shopper's out there shopping for you. Can I substitute this? No. I don't know if I told you the story. I was getting,
That's with the okra.
with the okra and bread. Like, okay, that's a good substitution. But you know what I mean? It's like, so the our food supply isn't great to begin with, and you don't have to worry about food supply chains. I mean, if we get sick, you know, if they have to close plants down, there'll be alternative sources of food. And here's the bottom line. People are going to hate me for saying this, but I don't care. Almost half of America is overweight or obese. Use this as a time to lose weight and don't hoard food. How about that?
I think that, you know, you're 100% right. I mean, besides the first run of like toilet paper, I think ice cream shelves are still empty. Literally, there's nothing you can get. My kids are like, you're the only parent that didn't buy ice cream, and now there's no ice cream. So like, I'm trying to get creative in what, you know. There's a great recipe that I had a young yoga instructor gave out, and I shared it, where you're able to make, you can get like I guess carob chips, you know, you for chocolate chips, and she made it with oat and bananas. I mean, are those like a good option, like to substitute? And my kids were popping them like crazy. So it's like, what would you would think of a chocolate chip cookie, but minus all the other bad stuff and preservatives in it, made with bananas, oats, carob chips.
There's so many ways of making food that you like in a healthy way. I mean, there's so many recipes online. I have 8 cookbooks, you know. I mean, it's like there's so many things that you can make creatively that are just like the things you like, only they're healthy for you.
Well,
Only they're
the reason, sorry to interrupt, the reason why I brought up like cookies and stuff like that, because I'm not gonna lie, the way that some people are coping and avoiding hitting that wall is with coping eating, stress eating, which every person, every diet plan tells you to do something to stop stress eating. And almost, it's impossible. You're trying to not do that. But so I'm trying to find creative ways, or it's okay if you have that sweet tooth and it doesn't want to go away and you want to kind of indulge in it kind of. I'm trying to find healthier alternatives for myself, for my children. You know, I think it's important.
I mean, something that I like to do, and this might not be for everyone, but it's super easy to make healthy chocolate mousse.
That's
Super easy.
possible.
Yeah. You get whipping cream, you know, which doesn't have sugar in it. It's almost like you get whipping cream, you whip it up.
Yep.
Well, as you're whipping it up, you put in, I use unsweetened cocoa powder,
Okay.
because there's unsweetened cocoa powder. And I just mix it up and make it into like a mousse. And then I put it in the refrigerator and it hardens up a little bit. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll get the unsweetened, like the 100% cacao, like the really tasteless chocolate stuff. And I will melt it, put a little stevia in it so that it sweetens it a little bit, pour it on top of the mousse, and put it in the refrigerator to harden. So it's like one of those, cones that you dip in and then you pull out, and like you can eat it like that. So there's a lot. So that's just one thing that takes
That's cute.
5 minutes to
So
make.
challenge accepted. I'm gonna try it out on my kids. I'm not gonna say a word. I'm gonna say, "Mom's making fresh chocolate mousse," and I'm gonna let you know what this. I'm gonna actually put a picture up Dr. Pescatore's chocolate mousse and
Good.
challenge, and let's see. I'm gonna have it company wide and see what the feedback is.
It's so easy.
I didn't even know you could do that. So that's pretty awesome.
It's super easy. So there's plenty of ways of doing this, I mean, there's even plenty of ways of making healthy ice cream if you had an ice cream maker.
That would be beyond a big challenge for this household. I'm sure people, I mean, chocolate mousse is a lot easier, a lot
Oh,
faster,
definitely.
but I think that it's kind of cool, and we can kind of in the future, I'd like for you to recommend from now on just something, easy, like even making your own ice cream in the future. I don't want to give too much. I want people to come back and listen to what we have to
Sure.
say.
We could do it next week. I'll just go over the closet, get another book out, and we'll choose one of their recipes in there,
That would be
because
great.
there's a super easy one, super easy cheesecake recipe,
Oh,
super easy cheesecake recipe.
Doc, you know me well. I mean, you had me at, if you say a healthy version of tiramisu, I'll be your best friend for life. I mean, there's certain,
That I've not been able to figure out. That I've not been able to
me
figure out.
too. One other thing I wanted to tell you, and I really definitely want to talk about in the future, because it's something I haven't sat down and read a good book in the longest time. And you have written hugely successful books. That's why people love and adore you, because they're real books. People were able to read them. You know, that's what separates you from a lot of other, you know, people out there, doctors out there. Was you have the book, The Mediterranean Diet, but you also have the Hamptons diet. And I think it's important there's a couple of things I want to highlight and I want to discuss in the future. I mean, because you spent years, right, putting all these things together.
Oh yeah, and the Hamptons diet is really a Mediterranean diet made for America. You know, it's made for the way Americans eat as opposed to the way Europeans eat. You know, so it's really was just my way of bringing the Mediterranean diet to the United States so that they, you know, think, oh, it's the Mediterranean, I can't possibly eat like that. Well, yeah, you can.
You got to translate it, you know, and
Yes.
but I think I grew up on a pretty Mediterranean diet. I mean, I just want to say in a final night before we go today, I mean, after I left my Greek bubble and I was in elementary school. I mean, I used to get sardines for lunch because I actually love them. I got killed as a kid for that. So, you know, it's interesting how we've changed. Our diet has changed, but it's also, people still need to make those changes and updates to their diets. And I think you have literally a book of knowledge, literally. And
9 of them.
I think, yeah, but that in itself is a huge accomplishment. But I also think there's certain things we need to highlight from that people need to know. I want people to know the resources that you spent time putting together that means something. So I want to discuss that in the future because it'll help us get through that wall. We've hit the wall. Okay, pick yourself up. Let's do something about it. So
See, I feel better already.
I literally, I swear I was just about to tell you that. So I was going to say, I don't know about you. You know, I think I'm going to go fix my hair, change my outfit, look a little bit more presentable, but I feel better. I don't know if you do. I do. So thank you.
I definitely do. Thank you so much for this. And I'm super excited about doing the recipe things. So we did the chocolate mousse one. I have the cheesecake one. We'll wait for next week, but I'm really excited to give that one out too.
Cheesecake one, but I was like chocolate mousse. I was like, oh my God. So yep. Challenge accepted. Thank you, Doc. Be well, and we'll see you
too. Stay safe. Thank you.